So close, almost there. Hey, folks, thanks for tuning in to the BAMF podcast. I'm your host, Mike Lafferty. And before we get started, I have to do something very, very important. One sec. And that is to assure you that we are a high quality podcast, a professional podcast, only the finest farm to table, ethically sourced, geeky conversation for your listening pleasure, ladies and gentlemen. And today we're here to talk about one of our own projects, which is a little awkward because usually we promote someone else's stuff, but we are talking about Starbeards, which is a space dwarf setting for Savage Worlds, running the Alan Becker kit. If you go to tinyurl.com/starbeards, you'll get it. We've actually been having a surprisingly successful run. We're over, I think we're knocking on the door of 2,500 tonight. So check it out. You can still jump on the bandwagon. It's good stuff.
It's almost like people like your work, man.
I think it's just space dwarves, but I'm a modest fellow like that. But hey, that fellow talking was Mr. Cameron Lyle, who is one of our Savage Worlds converters and freelancers. How you doing, Cameron?
I'm quite well tonight. Thank you very much.
Oh, it's all good. Thank you very much for coming out. It's always a pleasure to have you. And I haven't said it, I really appreciate all your work on this project.
Oh, I appreciate you letting me work on this project, so it works both ways.
All right. And joining the Mutual Admiration Society is Jacob Blackman below me, who is the most handsome man in all of Roman, Oklahoma. Also, he's an artist who did a lot of the work for Starbeards. Jacob, how are you doing this evening?
It's a delight to be here, and it's a delight to work on this project.
Yep. I know a lot of the art was Jacob. We also had some by a few other guys. But let me go ahead and share my screen. I've got some art we can show off.
Some guy named Storn, whoever that is.
Never heard of him.
This is a Drow Flayer mech that Jacob designed. One of the
Look at the squiggly goodness.
Yeah. One of the things we wanted to do, originally there was a game called Damn It, which was a rules light thing I kickstarted last year. It was the basically I wanted to have a role-playing game version of Deep Rock Galactic, which is a video game about, guess what, Space Dwarfs. And it was fun. I played with my 12-year-old, and we wanted to expand it for something a little crunchier. So Savage Worlds. We wanted to have mechs, we wanted to have spaceships, but we wanted to do a whole space fantasy thing. So you got elves, you got dwarves, you got a few other the classic Tolkien races. So I asked Jacob, what kind of drow, what kind of mecha would the drow have? And Jacob, so why did you go with this design? I mean, it's cool as hell, but what led you down this path?
Honestly, I sometimes just get tired of things that look like humans would design them. And so I wanted something, in this case, I wanted something that looked alien. And when dealing with things that are in space, you want to think probably a little more like how things work in the ocean. And one of the most useful and powerful creatures in the ocean is the octopus. With the way its tentacles are, it can manipulate different objects at different points. And so, honestly, a tentacle mech would be all sorts of useful in zero gravity.
That is a cool point. So that was one of the things we wanted. Cameron, actually, you had the stats for this bad boy, didn't you, for Savage Worlds?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, cool. So that's the Flayer mech. Before we move on, Cameron, do you want to talk about setting it up?
Sure. So whenever you get a fantastic piece of art as inspiration for something, it makes life infinitely easier. As a designer, you're not just working from a completely blank canvas, and that's important when you're translating someone else's work or moving something from one system to another, because it's a brilliant window into the philosophy behind the game, and you always want to make sure that you are understanding the sort of the undercurrents and the undertows of the game and what the game is when you begin any kind of translation, because you don't want to turn in something that's just completely wrong thematically, right? Art goes a long way in making that easy. It means I have to ask you a lot less questions, and only occasionally ask permission. Um, with these guys, obviously, there is some legally distinct octopus head inspiration that I immediately clicked onto for these elves, and I thought, okay, so we're dealing with mecha that are operating psionically, and at that point you begin to ask questions like, well, okay, so what is the function of for example, the sort of spiny ridges on the top, or for the red crystalline structures, and that just lets your imagination go crazy, and like that is pretty indicative of the way that I design if I have a piece of art that I can riff off of. This one thing you definitely don't want to do is come back with a stat block that in no way, shape, or form matches the form or function of the piece of art that you're supposed to be designing for. Every now and then in a role-playing game, I will come across an illustration that is absolutely nothing like what is described or statted out for what it's supposed to be, and that drives me bonkers. So, essentially, I went, ooh, this is cool. This is fun to play with. We got us some psionic mecha, and what exactly will that mean? And then you dive off from there and let your imagination go wild. And then you let Sean, or one of the other core sort of Savage Worlds directors, go, okay, this is cool, but you need to tone this down a little bit because this is a grittier setting where they're not going to be lobbing tack nukes at each other. So,
it's a little more grounded. Sean had a definite vision. That's Sean Noakes. He was the head writer on Starbeards, also the head writer on the After, our post-apocalyptic setting. He wanted to get things a little more grounded. For instance, we reined in magic a lot. We were going to have a bigger magic setting, but Sean kind of tailored it down a little bit. So magic is largely restricted to brewmasters who can brew different drinks on the for the dwarves before missions, and also we've got a beard edge in Savage Worlds, where depending on the state of your beard and the kind of beard you have, you get certain buffs. So that's kind of a cool thing. Let's look at some more art. Hang on, hide that. Oh, hey, Jake. Speaking of mecha that look like people, this was an awesome, I think we call this the Frostfang. The dwarf heavy mech, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty cool. This is, I think we're just calling this the Orcish Metal Monster.
Yeah, I think that's one of the Orcish mechs, yeah.
Yeah. Orcs kind of get short shrift in the book. We detail some of the pirate clans that have orcs in them. We don't really talk about a united Orcish nation out there the way we do with the goblins, the drow, because, well, they're orcs, so they're kind of, tribal and fighting each other. But in all fairness, the goblin co-prosperity sphere that we have set up is not a particularly peaceful or unified monolithic nation, because they're all going to be fighting each other. I just thought it was hilarious to have, the goblin co-prosperity sphere. So, but yeah, this was a cool mech Jacob design, going for a very utilitarian, brutalist design for the orc mech. So I think you did a beautiful job on that, Jacob.
Thank you.
Oh, hey, this is one of the, this is a stretch goal adventure we haven't announced yet. This is a map by Miska's Maps. You can find him on Patreon. He's a great guy. And this is a power crystal cave that's going to be in the next stretch goal after the current one at 2,600. So cool map. Really looking forward to seeing it. Jacob did put the labels in there for us on Miska's original image, so that is cool stuff. This is the I'm going to say Cold Death on DSM 75. This is the terraforming adventure that Cameron's working on. I probably have the title all wrong, but
Um, I, I think you may have the number wrong, but you got the
yeah.
initials correct. But I think we'll forgive you for mislabeling just this once.
I appreciate that. So yeah, that's going to be. This was Space Orcs threaten a dwarven um, terraforming station, right?
Yes. Well, what is the actual threat is a bit of a mystery. There are they are terraforming. I believe it's the Frostbeard clan
Mm-hmm.
is in the process of terraforming an asteroid, and they make an incredible discovery that they think is going to be so important that they actually call in Dammit to make sure nothing gets in the way because space pirate activity is increasing. And as the Dammit team is en route, the asteroid goes quiet and it switches from a protect the asset mission to a search and rescue and discovery mystery about what's actually going on and what happened.
So a little bit of mystery in space, if you will.
Exactly.
Moving on. Oh, this is some of that Storm Cookhawk we were talking about. This is a dwarven mech pilot. I think this is our front piece for the vehicles chapter, which was one of the ways we wanted to expand it for Savage Worlds was to throw in, like I said, vehicles. We got that twice. Oh, this is the Draco 12 map. This is one of the Stretch Old Adventures we've already unlocked. Jacob and I did a lot of conversations about this. The map is by John Gibbons. Very nice Englishman. Handsome fellow, beautiful singing voice, gives a great foot rub if you ever get a chance to talk to him.
And they're pretty good at the map thing.
Pretty good at the map thing. The idea here is that this is an abandoned dwarven facility from the old days, back when the original dwarven diaspora happened. The dwarves got sick of the humans and the elves talking about how to live the core worlds, so they left the outer rim so they could be rugged and free and live how they chose to. And this is an abandoned settlement from those old days, so it's about 300 years old in the meta plot of Dammit. And you know, uh, the dwarves uncovered again. I sent them Dammit to investigate because after they start up resource extraction again, some funny things start happening. It turns out there's a cyber dragon who has taken over this old dwarven facility, and we have to negotiate that.
Gasp.
Gasp, yeah. And we've once again, orc space pirates are tied in. We've got goblins in here as well. So, and a few drow scouts show up in the final act. So, yeah, that was a fun one to write. And Cameron is converting it to Savage Worlds in the very near future. So, but yeah, look at that map. That's beautiful.
Oh yeah.
And that is my. No one's supposed to see that. So, that is the art I have handy. Yeah, like I said, I've been doing so much promotion for the setting, guys. I wasn't sure how to proceed with tonight's podcast other than just showing off the new art, talking about the vehicles, the adventures. And, I've always been partial to dwarves and role playing games. When Deep Rock Galactic came out a few years ago, I jumped on it and I spent, way too many hours as a space dwarf, fighting bugs and mining tunnels on asteroids. And I really wanted a way to do that at the gaming table. And Savage Worlds was a good fit because you're trying to get it's a fast, furious, fun experience in the game. You want something that brings that to the table too. So that would seem like a natural fit. And the Sci-Fi Companion just came out super recently, so it worked pretty well because there's a lot of the races that we're going to have mentioned in the Gazetteer that they already have stat blocks for in the Companion. So
Yeah.
it was pretty handy. Okay, I am running out of things to say, so someone needs to help me out. Jacob, you look like a happy Santa Claus guy there. Can you tag in?
Well, I think one of the things that appeals that draws people to this campaign is the dwarven aspect of it. Dwarves, as a species, are very easy to understand. They want to acquire things and just have a good time. and they're willing to fight to keep what they've acquired and to maintain they're having a good time. So it's a very easy mindset to get in and very easy archetype to play. And so and it's especially fun because the Tolkien aspect of it, uh, where most people pattern their dwarves. Uh, we were introduced with basically the first fantasy book that most people read early in their lives, being The Hobbit. And so you kind of get attracted to wanting to play, you know, that sort of fun. I just want to hit things and get gold and drink with my buddies kind of ideology and atmosphere, and this appeals to that. And it especially appeals to that because everyone's done this in their fantasy game, but now we get like blasters and mecha and we can get like cyber armor, and so there's a lot more you can do with it, with both the familiar and the addition of science fiction.
Yeah, and I guess it needs to be pointed out that people have been doing dwarves in space for years and years. Obviously there was Paizo with Starfinder. Hey, Owen, Casey Stevens, hope you're having a good night. There were the squats in Warhammer 40K, who recently came back years ago. So this isn't a new idea. People trying taking Tolkien elements and putting them in space. It's been done for a while now. We're just doing it, in Savage Worlds and with kind of an irreverent take on it. I had somebody in the Savage World subreddit get really upset about the "damn it" acronym the other day. It was like I'm really looking forward to a setting people put some thought into, but when I saw that you had Dwarven Assault, Mining, Neutralization, Interception teams as the acronym for your main commando group there, I just realized this was going to be too sophomoric for me. And
well, you can always rename it.
Well, you can call it whatever you want to call it. And he was, he had a group of players for Deep Fried Galactic, and I'm like, have you played Deep Fried Galactic? You know that there are beers you can drink in the bar there that freeze you, teleport you. They have dance moves where you're doing the robot, and I think this might be just a level of sophomoric your group would appreciate. But there are some GMs who really want a serious game. And by serious, it means it's got to be dark. So maybe White Wolf will come along one day and do Space Dwarves: The Drunkening. Help stretch that itch. But
angsty space dwarves.
The Starbeard setting isn't for your angsty space dwarves. Starbeards is for your heroic space dwarves. We are a group. We are a unit of multi-clan dwarves dedicated to protecting the territory of dwarves, no matter who you are. And that is a heroic idea. We have forsaken our normal oaths of just fighting for our family and clans alone. We fight for all dwarfdom. What's more heroic than that?
Yeah.
Fair enough, sir. Hey, can we talk about the appendix real fast?
Yeah.
Because Appendix 4, let me tell you, no one's seen this yet outside of, I think, this group. But one of the things I always thought was missing in Deep Rock Galactic was a wider galaxy to play in. Because I love it. It's a great game. You spend all your time on one planet called Hoxus, digging tunnels and fighting basically the same kind of bugs throughout the planet. I thought, well, if the dwarves are out in space, they're doing more than just mining, right? And damn it, I do have rules for mining. I have rules for drinking, but there's also the whole segment they're in, the Sigma sector of the galaxy, and the various factions they have to deal with. They have dwarven colonies all over the place having to deal with stuff. This is a cowboy centaur that Jacob drew, and isn't that a beautiful thing, folks?
It is.
It's a cowboy cyber centaur.
It's a cowboy. So yeah, they're the Iron Spur. There's this idea they're these rich core world people who decide that they want to rough it and get back to nature. And of course, being rich and titled folks, they do that by buying a whole bunch of gear and getting body modifications and becoming, well, what you see here. And being rich, entitled, core world people, they come to a dwarven colony, push the dwarves off, and start making trouble for them. So that's a faction you can fight or deal with in the book. We've got some adventure hooks for them. You ever be in the middle of a meeting like this and you lose what tab you are sharing? That ever happened to you guys?
Sometimes.
All right, yeah,
May have
there it is.
happened more than once.
I just found it. These are some folks I'm really happy with. The Jalara. These are not Dracolites. They're not. I wouldn't call them Dracolites, and I wouldn't call them that because I don't want to be sued by Hasbro or Wizards of the Coast.
They're
But they are,
oozlings.
huh?
Yeah, I would call them oozlings or plasmoids.
Yeah. And they're a philosophical race. Basically large amoebas, and we have some adventure hooks for dealing with them as well. GM tips on how you can play the philosophical Jalara folks. The Granthonites. It seems like in every sci-fi setting, you have to have a big hairy guy, right? Who's fiercely loyal and kind of gruff, and maybe he has a life debt to the main character.
It's a mandate.
It's a mandate, yeah. He is checking that box for us in Starbeards, the Granthonites. And we take a lot of inspiration from westerns, and they're like the sheep farmers who've been pushed off their grazing lands by the oil barons, and so you got some adventure hooks for dealing with them, negotiating with them, helping out in their situation. Um, Cat people, once again, every setting has to have them. So we have our cat people. They are feudal, kind of based on the Kilrathi from Wind Commander. Depending on how old you guys are, you might remember that game.
I do.
Yeah. Then we have the Ghost Zone, which is our big Starship Graveyard, which we previously did for Savage Worlds under Raiders of the Ghost Zone. It came out last year during Season Quest. So, what I'm trying to make is there is a whole fantasy, sci-fi, space opera setting to tap into here. You're not just, fighting bugs and mines, although you can do that all day if you want to.
The one of the things I love about this sector of space is how much you've connected to it. Because Fandango Games has produced a number of adventures called Pew Pew, which are all about uh, bounty hunters and trying to acquire their quarry, but it's largely open form. Here's the hunters. Here's your quarry. Here is the planet. You have to make the plan of how to go about this and how to get them. And so it's largely free form from there. But all of those adventures are set in this same sector, so you can take those and use them as ideas for Starbeards because it is already in the same universe.
Yep,
Yeah,
Ghost Zone and Pew Pew both, yeah.
yeah, I appreciate you guys mentioning that because it slipped my mind. But yeah, Cameron, who has converted, I think, all of the Pew Pew stuff. I mentioned all those planets that we have in there and all those races. They're all all here in the Sigma sector of the sectional galaxy. So we've got some of the maps, some of the art from those, and it's all interconnected. Space fantasy universe. So this guy here is a space Dracula, or we can call him a space vampire if you prefer, that Jacob drew. And the idea is someone on another show called it Space and Loft. We've got this planet called Nocturnus, which is a Flash Gordon Mongo style rogue planet that patrols, wanders the galactic rim, terrorizing colonies. Vampire lords with hordes of werewolf shock troops. So,
Yes, but does it have Patrick Stewart or naked space vampires?
Hey, if there is a space vampire out there that looks like Matilda May, I am in.
that is a fair question, sir.
I'll
If
prepare
I
a
had
vein
some art,
right now.
yeah. If I had some art that looked like some people in Life Force, that would be a whole different game.
I'll get on that.
Dwarves, so
Well, that will have to be an 18 plus adventure.
that's fair. So, so scrolling through, you can see that. I mean, some of the other species we have. This is some of the central government, and we're pretty vague on if they're awful or if they're just incompetent. But they, do have armored troopers, and they do have machinery like this armored ostrich class battle robot. So all kinds of possibilities here. These are some amphibious aliens from actually the very first Pew Pew. They're in the Carrick Canal Zone in Androna City, the very first Pew Pew for Savage Worlds. So, yeah, so what I'm trying to make is, yeah, we have space dwarves, we're doing them really well, but there's a whole sci-fi setting there that you can explore as dwarves, or you can. The sci-fi companion is out. You could do all any kind of species that you like for exploring that. So.
Yep. I used the Sci-Fi Companion as the basis for all of the vehicles. They're all statted out, so you don't have to have it, but it will make your life easier and better as a GM if you want it.
Yeah, that is a cool idea. We were going to do we're trying to put together a demo game for this while the campaign is running. Got about 3 weeks left. So, Cameron, let's talk after the show. See if I can talk you into running an hour-long demo session. But if not, I'm talking to some other Savage Worlds people trying to make it happen. So,
If I've got the time, I'm down for it.
yeah, yeah, it's not a small thing around the game. I know. So, so that's kind of my speech on Starbeards, guys.
All right. Well, half-hour show, still a good show.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
One last time.
One more pitch out there. Obviously, not everything's going to be for everyone, but Starbeards is a particular brand of both wit and grit because they're dwarves, and dwarves are dirty, and they're not afraid to get their hands into the muck and mud. They're not some soft, doughy human bureaucrats. So it is tonally, it is a fantastic balance of that sort of high adventure humor, but also with a real hint of workaday danger. And that is what separates it to me from other similar kinds of settings, and what I think makes it so special.
Yeah, the dwarves definitely have a very grounded blue collar perspective in everything they're doing out there. So it's that was part of the appeal of it. Really, was that kind of it's like the first Star Wars movie where everything feels kind of dirty and run down. Yeah, kind of vibe. So, all right, folks. One last time, tinyurl.com/starbeards. You can check it out right now. We have unlocked 2 adventure conversions as stretch goals, and we are like $35 away from the next one at 2,600. So
yeah, we are so close to hitting a third adventure here. Just honestly, it's who 1 or 2 people, and we'll be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess the Power Crystal Adventure is number 4. After that, I'm at a loss for stretch goals, so I guess we'll see what happens. If you guys have any ideas, let me know.
Unfortunately, beyond more adventures, I'm not sure what to suggest here.
I'd like to circle back around to the French space vampires.
I can make some more. I can do some more art, and we can add some add some more adversaries to as a PDF product.
Yeah, that might be what to do. I am scrolling through the action deck here.
Nice.
Is available as an add-on or on certain tiers. So.
Yeah, we got the action deck. Are the paper minis also available as add-on?
I will change Nick Adams. Right now, they're just $30 tier, but they can easily become add-ons. Mm-hmm. We should probably do some more paper minis because right now they're from Dammit. We've added a bunch of new monsters for Starbeards. Maybe we should flesh that out.
I can put that together.
Okay, that works.
And otherwise, there's the soundtrack. Never forget the soundtrack.
Ooh. Yeah, we put together a soundtrack, which is actually on drive-thru now, but you can get it much cheaper at tinyurl.com/starbeards. But it's Starbeards Music to Mind By. And it's a bunch of cool, spooky EDM tracks you can have on a loop while you're playing. So it's trying to get you in that hard-drinking sci-fi space miner mood, if you will. So, But yeah, so we got 3 weeks left in the campaign. Opened much stronger than we did. I didn't think we'd even break 1,000, but we're closing on 2,600 right now. So it's going pretty well. If we get past all the adventures we want to convert, I guess we'll start talking about other kinds of stretch goals. I don't have any. Anybody listening got any ideas? Please let me know. Because right now I am just rambling. I can't think of
Like I
it.
said, I can come up with some more art, and we can work on some more adversaries. Those are always easy to slide in.
All right.
You were just mentioning you didn't have stats for the tentacle guys that I put into that hapless space dwarf art. We
Sure.
can do something for that.
Okay. We could do an enemy supplement. So maybe Kickstarter exclusive. Scratch and sniff books.
I don't know how to make scratch and sniff books. You're going to have to be on your own with that one.
Banana scented mecha.
You could have a gorilla race with it. Oh, that's terrible. All right, that's good. We're making banana and gorilla jokes. It's time to stop. So, guys, thank you very much for joining us. Cameron, Jacob, it is always a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
We've had an audience.
Thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure, guys. We've had an audience tonight, so folks, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you checking us out. One more time, tinyurl.com/starbeards. Got 3 more weeks, so jump on the bandwagon. And on that note, we will see you next time on Fan Podcast.